Are you ready? Okay, hi everyone. I've got the great pleasure of introducing Lucy Bellingham to session 3 of our breakaway sessions. Lucy is in the UK. She just told me that it's cold and raining and that they had a bit of hail. I'm telling her that it's a beautiful sunny day here in South Africa, especially in Cape Town. Lucy is a freelance drama consultant in Warwickshire in the UK. She's worked for over 20 years in the field of drama and education. She's worked in the private sector and in state. And Lucy currently is the director of We Teach Drama. And they also recently won the Education Award for drama teachers worldwide. So Lucy's going to tell you a bit more about that. She's also going to pop some links into her chat. And Lucy, we're really excited to have you and looking forward to your presentation. So welcome.
Thank you so much. What a lovely introduction. I just want to say thank you to everybody who's organising this amazing event and really honoured to be asked. So thank you and welcome to everybody. Thank you for coming into my breakout room. You're obviously intrigued by the title. So I hope that with the next 30 minutes, I'm really going to give you lots and lots of ideas for teaching theatre design. As Pam said, I am based in Leamington Spa, which is about half an hour from Birmingham in the UK, about 15-20 minutes from Stratford-upon-Avon, so very, very close to Shakespeare country here. And my very first South African virtual conference. So really, really lovely to see so many people participating. I'm going to start to just get straight into my presentation because we've only got about 30 minutes today and I'm going to pack in as much as I can. But the first thing I'm going to do before I share my screen, I'm just going to post a link into the chat, okay, a URL. You can click on that and that will take you to a page on our website where you can download a PDF pack which accompanies the session today. You just click on the button at the top and you get that file, you get that beautifully designed PDF with lots and lots of ideas in there for teaching theatre design, some of which I'm going to talk through today, and then lots more as well. There's also something on that page that you can click on if you want more drama resources. So a big part of what we do is we have a big resource library on our website that teachers use internationally. It's got over 150 free resources for teaching all aspects of theatre and drama and has lots and lots of stuff for teaching theatre design. So if you want to sign up for that, please, just need to pop in your email address. You'll then get some newsletters from myself and you'll have access to all of those free resources indefinitely, really. Okay, and you'll start to join our community. We have a big international community for We Teach Drama, lots of teachers in the UK who work with us, also in Australia at the moment. So it's really lovely. We'll be able to open this up to teachers in South Africa as well. Okay, I'm going to get started. Share my screen. Okay, hopefully just Pam, you can confirm that everybody can see that, hopefully, and you can still see me in the corner. Okay, so as Pam mentioned, we won a big award last year at the Music and Drama Education Awards in London, which was for, I think, like a lighting designer, student workbook and videos. And this is a teaching resource that we created, which has HD videos for teaching lighting design. Everything we do, particularly for teaching lighting design, really comes back to the fact that we don't all have amazing drama facilities. And I speak for myself there. I have had the absolute pleasure of working in schools where we do have amazing facilities. And if you do at the moment, fantastic, brilliant, you can use those. I'm in a school at the moment where I'm teaching and we have very, very few resources. I end up teaching particularly theatre design elements, mostly in my office, to be honest, with very small groups. We don't have a dedicated drama studio. We have a classroom. So I'm having to be very creative. We also, lots of budget cuts over here. I saw lots of posts today as well from the conference over there, talking about budget limitations for you guys over there. I'm sure it's very similar. So what we're thinking about today is if you've got minimal resources, if you've got minimal space, what can we do? How can we still teach theatre design in a meaningful way? And what we're thinking about with theatre design is really lighting, sound, costume, and set design. We're going to touch a little bit on puppetry today, but really those 4 areas is what we're looking at. Okay. There's a little bit more about our award, which we're very honoured to be awarded. And I can send out more information about that at a later date if you're interested, okay? So download your toolkit. I've already done that. I'll link back to that at the end. Okay, so by the end of the session today, you're going to have a little bit of a reflection about how theatre design fits into your curriculum. I just did a little bit of a poll at the beginning, and it looks like lots of people coming from the standpoint of you don't have it in your curriculum at the moment, and so you're here because you really want to start to develop it, which is amazing. That's fantastic. You're in the right place. So I will come in at a level of, you know, if you haven't got anything at the moment, what are the things that you can start doing? Okay. You're going to know how best to teach theatre design across all levels. So we're going to think about strategies right down to sort of 5 all the way up to 19. Okay. I might talk a little bit about key stages today, which we have in the UK. Key stage 3 is sort of is 11 to 14-year-olds, and key stage 4 is 14 to 16, and then key stage 5 beyond that. That's sort of 16 to 19 years. Okay. We're going to look at around 5 strategies today and lesson ideas. In your pack, you have 10 strategies, so you can look at that in your own time. You're going to download the pack, which hopefully you've already managed to do. And if we have time, I want you to make a little pledge about how you're going to really kind of develop this work when you go back into school over the coming weeks and months. So, little starter for you. I'm just going to give you a minute or two to have a think about this. What have you got at the moment which covers any of those areas of theatre design? So lighting, set, costume, sound, puppetry. Do you teach any lessons currently or schemes of work? What are your facilities and resources? Are they limited? Are you blessed with having a theatre, a technician? Do you have an art room that you can work in? If you have an art room, fabulous. You're going to be able to do a huge amount if you have that. What extracurricular activities do you have at the moment? Do you have any clubs? Do you have anything you're offering which is like a tech theatre club, a backstage crew, anything like that? And what barriers are there within your context? Okay, so I've already mentioned a couple of my barriers, which is space and resources. So do you have any other barriers which are relevant to your particular context? And then finally, any aims and intentions, and we're going to share those in a moment in the chat. So I'm just going to give you a minute. And then at the end of the minute, I'd really like you to just share one of your aims or intentions for developing theatre design, something you'd really love to do over the coming weeks, months, or even years within your practice. Should be playing a little bit of music while this is happening, maybe. Okay, so you had a little bit of reflection time. What would be wonderful is if we could share a few aims and intentions, so things you would like to develop, okay, just in the chat. Pam, would you like me to read those out if they come up? I'm just going to come out of my PowerPoint.
I'm not seeing much in the chat at the moment, but the one, yeah, sure. The one thing that I am thinking about that you just mentioned now is barriers and resources. I know resources are a big problem in South Africa, especially with some of our rural teachers. So I think an elaboration on that, I can't wait to hear what you're going to share with us.
Absolutely, very much so. A lot of what we do is around minimal resources, so we'll definitely share that. Okay, I'll just wait another 30 seconds maybe for anything which comes up in the chat, and if not, we can come back to those a little bit later. But the main thing was to give you a little bit of reflection time with this. Okay. Okay, so we're now thinking about how do we develop skills and knowledge of theatre design with limited time and resources. So let's get straight into it. I'm going to keep an eye on the time with this as well. We've already had 10 minutes. So this is my first strategy if you really would like to start introducing it in a small way. So the first thing is to think about teaching dedicated schemes which focus on theatre design. Now, what I do is at Key Stage 3, which is 11 to 14, and we don't have drama as part of our national curriculum here. So our Key Stage 3 curriculum, we very much choose what we teach. So at that level, I like to teach one dedicated unit in year 7 for design, one in year 8 and one in year 9. And that's when we really fully focus on developing theatre design skills. So in year 7, when they're 11, 12 years old, we might start to look a little bit at stage spaces, because that's a really great foundational unit when they can then start to look later on at set design, okay? End of year 7, I know a lot of teachers in the UK do this, and I do this, is we do a big unit on puppetry. Puppetry and shadow puppetry are an absolutely fabulous way in to design, okay, at that level. And you could also do this with even younger children, okay, because it enables them to start to look at fabric and texture and colour. It allows them to start associating all of those things with character. Shadow puppetry is fabulous because you can start to work with very basic, just a sheet of just a white sheet and torches and lighting, and get them to start working with shadows, which is great. They can start to explore different directions of lighting as well. In my puppetry unit as well, we just do things, I would say to them, right, I want you to find an appropriate piece of music or a little motif for when your puppet enters. Okay, so they start in a very basic way to think about sound and music as well. Okay, so it's a lovely little unit to really start to bring together all of those design elements. Okay. In year 8, we look at A Midsummer Night's Dream. Now, I think A Midsummer Night's Dream is a fabulous text for introducing design, because you can have multiple interpretations which the children really understand. For example, they could create an interpretation of the beautiful enchanted ethereal forest, or they could do something completely different and look at something which is futuristic and steampunk, or quite dark or futuristic or apocalyptic. So you've got these really diverse interpretations, and they really start to get a sense of, well, you could design the same play into two completely different ways. And I think we look at A Midsummer Night's Dream. We also do a fabulous costume design section to that one, where we design the costumes for Oberon and Titania's groups of fairies. And that's really, really lovely where we do that. And we actually create newspaper costumes as well, and use lots of carrier bags, and even just things as simple as using elastic bands within costume design and carrier bags. You can do so much with that. It's quite amazing, really. Something I'm going to talk about a lot today is shoebox theatre. So we launched a big international competition last year called Shoebox Theatre, which essentially is making a model box for a theatre show out of either a shoebox or a photocopying box. And I'm going to show you some of the images from that today. We're going to launch that competition again in a couple of weeks, which is free to enter, and the students and the school can actually win vouchers for the designs. And some of the designs that students have come up with are absolutely amazing. So that's a big thing we do over here is shoebox theatre. Something else is jelly baby lighting, which I will talk through. Again, you can do that in a classroom. You could do it with very, very basic resources. Okay. And then in year 9, when they're a little bit older, sort of 13, 14, we start to look at gangs and costume design, different groups of students, the geeks, the Instagrammers, etc. All of that sort of thing through costume, which is quite nice. And they start to look at horror and ghost plays where they really explore lighting and sound effects. So even just basic things like you would find in the ghost play Woman in Black, things like, you know, sinister ghost noises and recorded sound effects, and they sort of create soundscapes for ghost play. Okay. That's looking at individual schemes. Strategy 2 is really looking at a whole school approach. So this is an example of a teacher who entered our shoebox theatre competition last year, and she launched it on World Theatre Day, which I think was such a lovely idea. So on World Theatre Day, I'll just read out her quote. She said, "Over the course of the academic year, I've held a technical theatre club during a Friday lunchtime. We've spent half term focusing on the following: lighting, sound, puppetry, costume. Then for the World Theatre Day, I launched the Set in a Box competition, or shoebox theatre competition, with the whole school as well as technical theatre club. We had 60 set designs entered, and then 2 individual entries and 2 school entries." Now, this was one of the winning entries, which I am going to show you. But I think because they engaged the whole school and opened it up to the whole school, they then had 60 entries, 60 model boxes. You're going to end up with a lot of model boxes in your office, trust me. But it's amazing. You see a completely different side to the children who would normally maybe do performances or do acting within shows. And you see those really amazing, those different students really getting a chance to shine. Okay. This is an example of our winning set design. This was for the BFG, which is a Roald Dahl book. So you can get them to create set designs in response to a play text, a poem, or even a novel. Okay. And quite a lot of the entries did focus on books and novels as well, which was really, really lovely. So this was created from a shoebox. When I give my students shoe boxes to start making things with, I give it to them, and then I show them what's possible, because I think it's difficult for them to really sort of see once they've just got a shoebox in front of them. If you show them something like this and say, this is what other students have created, they really start to see what's possible. Okay. And you could run this, lots of teachers over in the UK running this on a lunchtime club or an after school technical theatre club. Okay. On our website and in the resource library is all of the instructions for them to make the model box, which are free. So again, they're all in the resource library, which I mentioned earlier. Here are the instructions just broken down. Okay, it's really, really easy. They remove the lid, they remove the side, they then turn it over so the lid becomes the stage, and that's their backdrop. Okay. The bit that they've cut off, they cut into 3 strips, and then they use those 3 strips to make the proscenium, which goes on the front of the model box. Okay. I know that's a really quick sort of whistle-stop tour of how to do it, but it really is that straightforward. And when I set it up with my students before, some of them don't do a proscenium arch theatre like that. Some of them will actually do a traverse stage or a thrust stage with the audience on 3 sides. Or I've had students just use the lid and create a theatre in the round with it. So give them the shoebox. I would say get them to choose a stage space. You could teach them how to create the proscenium, but they can really do any stage space they want to. This is how it looks when it's finished, okay? And then they can obviously paint it. The only materials you need are a shoebox, sharp scissors and a ruler, although if they're older students, they can use a scalpel, but obviously they have to be much older for that. And then double-sided sticky tape to stick it together and PVA glue, okay? Also, what's fabulous is foam board. So they can then use foam board to make all of the furniture. And again, in our folders in the resource library, there are templates to make scale furniture as well, really, really easily. Here are our couple of winning designs. Again, this was from a book or a novel called Find Me. absolutely amazing. It's like a sort of gothic, modern gothic horror novel. And we just absolutely loved the detail. This was made from a shoebox. It's the detail of the light. The fireplace is fabulous. The footprints on the floor. I mean, it's quite gory, but we just thought it was absolutely fabulous, this design. This was done by 13 and 14-year-old students. And this was for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So you can see all of the sweets, and again, the backdrop. So really, all of these are in blogs, which are on our website, and you can share with students to inspire them. I wanted to show you this one because the way that you can use models is really interesting. You can actually use Play-Doh for your models. I use little scale railway, the ones that you'd find in like railway models, which are 1:25 scale. You can also use jelly babies, which I'm going to talk to you about in a minute. This is from the play Machinal, this one, which is the courtroom scene. And that was one of our winning entries as well. Okay, I'm going to come back to jelly baby design in a moment. So we're on strategy 3. We've got 10 minutes. We're okay. Another idea for teaching design is to embed design into every lesson. Very ambitious, in a very small way. Okay, now I'm not talking, we can't spend a huge amount of time on this, but it's this little and often approach. So how can you include design for maybe 2 minutes every lesson? And I'm talking about a question which you pose. It might be them learning one new vocabulary word. It might be they do a very quick sketch of something. So if they're acting and they've created a lovely piece of theatre, you can say, right, the last 2 minutes, we're going to choose one of the characters that you've created, and I want you to spend some time sketching a costume for that character. So really small tasks that they can do at the start or the end of a lesson. It might be a do now activity. It might be a think, pair, share. These are cards which again are in the resource library. It helps you to frame a question with them. I actually have these cards in a lesson, maybe from working in a drama studio, and I'll cut these cards up and I'll put them in my pocket. And then when I'm circulating around the groups while they're rehearsing, I might give one of these to a member of the group. So for example, they're all working, and then I might come over, and if one student seems to be really engaged or maybe not so engaged, I might give them one of these and say, right, I want you to think about a sound effect that's going to be in your scene. Okay, might somebody else, right, I want you to, here's some masking tape, I want you to mark out on the floor what your stage space. Okay, and again, it's that little and often. It's them just thinking about that designer perspective, and they can then feed back to the group at the end about any of the ideas they've come up with. Again, these are in the resource library. You can print them off. You can use them in your lessons. The benefits of using this little and often from an educational perspective is that it provides more opportunities to revisit and retrieve knowledge. Okay, because it really helps to bookend those lessons, the starter and the ending. So, really, really nice way to do that. It embeds design without it making an add-on, making it an add-on or an afterthought. And it allows students to explore the elements of drama and design together, which, let's face it, we want them to look at theatre holistically. Okay, we want them to look at it. We don't want it to look at the actors, directors, designers. We want it to look at those relationships, how designers work with the director, how they work with other creatives, how they work potentially with the actors. And it's really helping them to understand those relationships which go on within theatre in the real world. Here's a little example of maybe a lighting sketch. You might get them to do something like this. Could take a couple of minutes, but there's a lot of information in here where they're thinking about the direction of lighting, the information being communicated through the lighting design, the mood, etc. Something like this, has a lot packed into it. that they could then translate into their written exams if they're being examined on it. Something we have created, these aren't free, but these are within our shop, are some challenge mats. So these are 100 across all 4 designs, little mini challenges that they do. And teachers in the UK have been using these in a variety of ways in their lessons. They've been using them to set for homework. They've been using them as a game. Had a couple of teachers say they give students a dice and get them to roll it and choose one. They tick them off. They use them as posters. Students fill up a sketchbook with all of their responses. They could create a slide deck, 1 slide for each challenge. So it's a sort of ready to go, sort of little and often way of teaching, and they are in our shop. Okay, I'm going to try, and we've got 5 minutes. So really allow lots of time for practical exploration, even if you have very few resources, which I do have very few resources. I do shoebox theatre in my office. To teach lighting design, you can use a mannequin. Okay, these wooden mannequins are on Amazon for £6. Very, very cheap. You can use a little mini torch, get them to work with lighting gels, and they can start to explore different directions of lighting. That's a lovely little way in for starting to teach lighting design. We also do newspaper costumes and jelly baby lighting, which I'm going to talk very briefly about. For Jelly Baby a challenge, this could combine shoebox theatre and lighting as well. So you could create your little mini shoebox theatres, put your jelly babies into it. So give each group 3 jelly babies each, and they can use lots of different sources of light. They'll need a little mini torch. They could use light from a computer screen or their phones if they're allowed phones in school. They can create little gels and gobos which go on the end of a toilet roll. So just get the toilet roll, put the torch inside, and then get the gel and put it on the outside. And this is for Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, where they're starting to explore the gobo. Through this, they've used this toilet roll to create a gobo of the sums, so the division and addition signs, which are part of the set. Yeah, that's a really good example. And students love, have to stop them eating them, but they absolutely love the Jelly Baby challenge. Final thing is to think about assigning roles to the children. Okay, so I say, right, 1 person in this lesson is going to think like a designer. I give students this template. Again, it's in the resource library, you can print it off, and they work their way around the studio and they become the designer for that lesson. So you say to them, right, I want you to sketch a costume for 1 group, a little set for another group, come up with some sound ideas for another group, and lighting ideas for another group, okay? Or you could assign 1 designer to each group and let them do the sort of thinking behind the design for that group, and then they will feed back to you, or they will feed back to the group at the end, okay? I've also got a template in there for the stage manager. This is very much more around them working their way around the studio and thinking about who are the groups who are meeting that success criteria within the lesson. And that might be somebody who you want to really get on board during that lesson. You assign them the role as the stage manager. Okay, I'm going to show you. I'll show you. So the final one is just modeling. Okay, so online there are some absolutely fabulous theatre design portfolios from professionals. Okay, here are a few examples here. Ray Smith, Tim Hatley, who created The Life of Pi, amazing lighting designer. Tim Hatley has done lots of things, Shrek, Back to the Future, Paulie Constable, amazing female lighting designer who I'm sure you're aware of, but there's also a whole range of designers who are coming through as well. Lots of female designers, sound designers, theatre designers of colour. And I really like to use that as an opportunity to allow the students to look at lots of different designers from a range of backgrounds and really open that up to them. Use their websites because they've got amazing examples. And I use that as a really rich resource when I'm teaching. Okay. Okay, so I think that's our half an hour exactly, if I'm right, Pam. We've got, again, download your toolkit if you haven't managed to. And I think we've got 10 minutes for any questions.
I think I'm gonna just start off by saying, first of all, there are a lot of comments just about how inspiring this has been, and I'm just looking at, sadly, one of the biggest problems is resources, and you've addressed that so beautifully. I can see a whole lot of people running out tomorrow to look for shoe boxes and start creating, because one of the questions actually in the comments is on recyclable materials. And so that is definitely something that you have used, which is great.
Yes. Yeah, in terms of getting shoe boxes, I go to my local, we have Clark's shoes over here. So I go to Clark's, go to your equivalent Clark's over there. I go in and they know me now, and I say, they want to get rid, they just all go sort of to be recycled. So you go into the shoe shop and say, can I have half a dozen shoe boxes? And they will give them to you. And then any children that can't bring them in themselves, you have loads of spare ones as well. So this idea came from Sam Beale, who's a lighting designer, who's a set designer, and he was working with some young people at a theatre in London called Theatre Peckham. And he went out to the skip at the back of the theatre, and he got loads of shoe boxes out of there and just took them in and started building set model boxes. And so this came from Sam. I can't take credit for this. And so Sam's worked with us to really develop this, and this is where all the templates have come from that are on our website. So absolutely, it's amazing because it's about sustainable design as well. You know, lots of model boxes that are made get thrown away as well. This is what Sam wanted. And actually all of the model boxes he creates professionally are all from recycled materials as well. Get them to use just whatever is sort of lying around at home, get them to be resourceful. Yeah, just, you know, it just opens up so many possibilities, really. Yeah. What other things are great? Little cork, you know, so keep all the little corks from your bottles. You can use Play-Doh. You can use, as I say, foam board is fabulous because you can cut it into so many different bits of furniture as well. And I wish I could have sort of demonstrated that today. Thank you guys for all the really lovely feedback. Thank you. And I know this does work because, you know, I see teachers all the time in photographs of teachers in classrooms making these model boxes. And they can make one individually, they can make it in pairs. I would say sort of a maximum group of 3 for this, just to give them all an opportunity to sort of be busy and keep making. But you could definitely sort of say, well, one person's going to make the structure, one person's going to make the furniture, one person's going to paint, and etc. And you probably need to do this over, if you're going to do it in school, I would say you need, I mean, I run this over at least 2 or 3 weeks. So I would, you know, with 2 or 3 lessons a week, because you need time to set it up. You need time to show them the examples. You then need time to sort of make the structure and paint it and leave it to dry. So just sort of build into your scheme how you're going to sort of set this up. If you're going to launch it whole school, I would say, maybe say, right, if you want to come and learn how to make the model box, come at lunchtime on Thursday and set a date, and then anybody who wants to come to learn how to make it can. Do an hour with them where you launch it, give them the worksheet and the step-by-step guide, and say, right, you know, come back, and then you could do some drop-in sessions in case they need any support, and then give them the deadline. And then honestly, what they create, you know, some students will really, really run with it as well. And that's what's really great to see. So
I think one of the great things about this platform using the Weaver is that they also have an opportunity to go into a chat room and create a topic, invite people to come in and share ideas and things like that. So I mean, I'm already seeing somebody saying they're using paper boxes that we get all our paper in at school. So that
yes,
would be an option. So I'm sure there are
yeah,
other people that are already doing some things that they would love to share. So maybe that's also
yeah.
just an opportunity for people to do that. Drop it in the chat and even just create a room where you can also just talk about it.
Yeah, and I'm happy to be in there and add some more things and add some more ideas and resources. As I say, we've got all the scale templates as well that are in the resource library that you can print off. Someone said, yeah, cork for people or for furniture is also amazing. Yeah, they can just be really, really creative with this.
Sure. Yeah, we've still got a couple of minutes. So if you've got any ideas, any other things you'd like to, I'm just looking at questions now come in. There's often a challenge finding ways to have our learners engage with literature actively. Something like a shoebox theatre would really encourage learners to pay attention and engage with literature they cover in school and encourage an interest in reading. Yeah, so it's not only about theatre, it's everything, which is great.
Absolutely, Bronwyn. So we actually ran a training last year, and it's going to be available to access on our website soon, which is Shoebox Theatre for English teachers, which is how English teachers can use this as a tool for teaching English. And we've got loads of ideas in that webinar around how it can be used to teach different novels, different plays, to teach language development. So I had a lot of teachers coming to me who teach English as an additional language when I ran this live in London last year. And they actually they create the model box and they actually use it, put post-it notes all over it to teach English. I also had somebody coming who trains nurses in the National Health Service, and she's even using it to create models to help train her nurses in terms of them thinking about the space. And so all these amazing things came out of it and how versatile it is. But absolutely, it can definitely be used for English teaching and for engaging with novels and poetry as well, definitely.
Yeah. No, I wish.
Yeah, James and the Giant Peach, that would be amazing. I mean, any of the Roald Dahl books, it would be fabulous for this if you want to just focus on literature. And then obviously, you've just got, you can make it really multicultural, really open it up culturally in terms of the diverse text that you're looking at as well, which is amazing. But Roald Dahl works brilliantly for this, and also any of the Julia Donaldson books as well. So that's amazing, Amy. That's wonderful. And please, please do enter the competition. If you sign up for our newsletter, you'll find out about the competition we're launching. It's free to enter. And then, we will showcase all of your students' designs as well in our blog when the winners sort of come through. And there's prize vouchers as well that they can win. So,
Yeah. Lucy, thank you so much. I just want to say, to wrap up, to everybody that's been watching, thank you so much for joining us. Please do scroll to the top of the chat, and then you can see all of Lucy's contact details, her website, and then you'll be able to grab more information from there. And then
I'm going to post it in again, Pam. Sorry to interrupt.
Do that.
I'm going to post it in the bottom. Yeah, just anybody who came in a bit late, that's how you get the pack.
Yeah, fantastic. And then also I see that you're on social media as well, so I'm sure people can also engage with you there.
Absolutely. All of our hashtags are /We Teach Drama. We do a lot of posts with all sorts of resources. We've also got a new Facebook group, which is all about using AI within drama teaching. And it's about using ChatGPT to save time with your planning, with your resources. Again, that's on Facebook, which is AI for Drama Teachers as well. And we're doing lots of tutorials around using ChatGPT for lesson planning and saving time, etc. So,
yeah. Thank you for wrapping that up so concisely, and also it was a lot to take in. I mean, a lot for you to share with us, but I think you get the gist of everything, and we're just so grateful. And I can't wait to see the creations that people are going to make. Thank you, Lucy.
Yeah, thank you to everybody, and thanks for having me. Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you. Bye.